Hey all of you, hope you guys are great. So in the last video we had designed our basic schema model and use it to create document in our database. So if you haven't watched that video, I'll link in the I button in the description so you guys can follow that. In this video we're going to separate the schema model into a different file which is called model. Okay, so let me come here and let me create a new folder called model in this main directory, and inside that I'm going to create this nft model.js, and this is our schema. We're going to simply select this one, simply cut this and simply paste it here. So this is the schema model we have. Now I'm going to simply comment this out and I'll leave it here so you guys can have the reference. Okay, and I need, what else we need all these mongoose, and because we have to make the connection, and we have to need this one, okay, the schema instance. Okay, so simply select this one and cut and paste here. And here we're going to export the NFT model. So with this, what will happen, whenever we'll request any data or we'll create any data, that will go through this model. Okay, this NFT model. This NFT has all the data and has all the power for creating NFT, getting NFT, authorizations, all that will have this power. Okay, so that's what we have. We have successfully separated this into a different file, and you can see it's looking fine here. Let's have a look in the terminal. That looks good. Let's come back to the servers here file, and I'll leave all this comments so you guys can have the reference, and that looks perfect. Now let's come back to the model and close this one, and now we can start working on the model itself. So right now we have this basic model. We have to make it more robust, and now we're going to use that model. So before we start writing more code in our model, we have to simply replace our local database with the cloud database, okay, which we have built. So that's what we're going to do here in NFT controller. So right now we are using this local database. Simply we'll comment this out. We no longer need this one, and here we're going to do a couple of refactoring. Okay, so what I can do, first thing I want to do is to import the model here. So we have to import the NFT, and that's coming from the, let's say it's a required, and it's coming from it's coming from model/nft model. Okay, and now we have all the data in this NFT. So all the requests we're going to make on that NFT instead of this NFTs array to our local database. Okay, so hope this makes sense to you. Now let's refactor and change from local to the actual data we are getting from our cloud API. Okay, cloud database. So here we're going to do a couple of refactors. So what we can do, first thing is, I think no longer need this ID because this will take care by the mongoose. Okay, so we no longer need this. And here we have this check body, and here we have this NFTs. Right now we are using this locals, so I'm going to simply comment this out. Comment this. I'm not removing, I'm simply commenting out, and I don't need this as well, so we need to comment this portion. So comment all of these till here, and we need to comment this one as well. So that's one, and here we have to comment because we have NFT, and this looks fine, and we have to comment this portion as well. Comment this all entire if statement, and that's the refactoring we have done. Okay, so we have successfully comment out all the code which allow us to connect with the local database. Okay, so that's looking fine. Now what we can do, we can start implementing the real functionality. Actually we don't need this check ID because this will take care by the mongoose. We don't need to write extra functionality for that. So I'm going to simply comment this out, and you can see that's looking fine. And here you can see we are getting an error in our terminal, and that's obvious because we have comment out the check ID function. So let's come here, go into the NFTs route, and here we have that function check ID. So this is the function we need to comment out because we no longer need this one. Okay, we don't need to have this one. We don't need this one as well because this will also take care by the mongoose, and the validator will be defined in the model. Okay, so simply comment this portion as well. We don't longer need this one. I just wanted to show you that you can create, so that's why I built this demo one. Okay, NFT router, and here we have to remove this one. So what I will do, I will simply replicate this, and I will comment out this, and this will remove, so you guys can have the reference. Okay, so that looks fine. We have no issues in here, and that's the controller looking very clean. Now That's all I have here. So what do you have to do? Simply select the entire code, comment out, and we have to copy, and we're going to simply say part 2. Okay, part 2. So you guys can have the reference of the previous code. Okay, and I'm going to paste it, and here I'm going to clean it up, all the comments. So let's come up here, simply remove this first one. We need this function. We need to remove the check body, and we have to simply remove this entire code, create NFT. So now let's start with the create NFT. So we'll take a variable called new NFT, and here we're going to call this. So let me show you the two different methods which you can use to create NFT. Okay, so let's go with the old one which we have used in the last video to create a demo NFT. Okay, demo data. So let me show you how you can do that. So this is how we can do it. We use the new keyword and we use this NFT instance of the model we have designed, and here we're going to pass out all the data. Okay, so this is the one way. And if we do this, save methods, so this is will create the document in our database. So this is the one method we have used in the last video, but we're not going to use this method. We're going to use some other method to create one. Okay, I just want to explain you everything, that there are multiple ways to create document, but the one I use very frequently, and that's the one I'm going to use it, and that's more convenient. Okay, so this is the one way, and let me comment this out, and let's come down. Now we're going to use this model. So first thing we have to do is to convert this entire function into an async function, because rest time we are not reading the data and not writing into our local database. We are looking for the remote database, and sometime while fetching the data, some kind of error happens. Sometime it will take time, so we have to handle those things. So let's do this async, and let's take this variable called new NFT, and here we're going to take this await, and we'll use the NFT model, and on that we're going to call this create method. Okay, again this method is available on Mongoose, and that method we are using to create the document. Okay, and inside that we're going to send the data. So the data we have in this request.body, remember from the previous videos, so all the data we have in this request.body, and that's the data we'll pass inside this model, and the data would be created automatically. Okay, because we have defined all the models here. We're going to send the response back to the clients. Okay, so the status is 201 for creating a new document, and in that we're going to send the data back. So the status is going to be, let's say, success, and here we're going to send the data itself. So we'll say send the new NFT, so we'll call it, let's say, NFT, and we'll say new NFT. Okay, so that's the newly created NFT we'll send back in response to the user. Okay, so that's the one thing we have here. And now let's come here, open up your terminal, and before we do that, so again this is the two method we have to create document into our database, but the one I would like to pick in this video is this create one, and this is the one I'm going to use for all the functionalities. Okay, so that's the one we have, this create method. And now what we can do, simply come here, and first thing we have to do is to wrap this entire into a try and catch, because we have to handle the error as well. Okay, so we'll take this try and catch, and we're going to cut this code and paste in this try, and here we're going to catch an error. So simply we have to come here, we have to send the response back. So we'll say rex.status, so status is going to be 400, which is stand for error, and here we're going to say fail, and we'll send the response. The message is going to be let's say error happens, so the entire error object will send. So right now we are sending the entire error object, but we'll focus more on error handling in the next section. Okay, when we'll have we have a dedicated section for error handling, so we'll talk about the error there. Okay, right now we are sending the entire error object, so that's the one we have, looking perfect. Now this is the model, this is the validator. So if anything goes wrong, if someone forget to provide the name, so we have a validator there required, so this will throw an error, and this error message will catch in the try and catch and will display to the client. Okay, so that's the entire logic we have here. So that's the entire model. Now looking perfect. Okay, hope so far things are clear. And if you come here, let me do one thing, let me simply delete all these previous document we have created in our database, and we can start something fresh. Okay, refresh it, we have no data here, and let's come back to the database, and here we're going to delete it as well. Simply click on this collection and just wait. Here we have no data because we have deleted from the compass. So if you delete the data from compass, it will delete here as well. So it's looking fine. Now let's delete this folder as well, the collection name we have created, and drop it here and delete it. So right now the database is completely empty, and now we can start creating data. So we'll come back to the postman, and here we're going to make that request. So here we have opened the post method. So let's click on the post method, and here we have to pass the data. So we have to pass this name and price. This is two mandatory data which we have to provide. If we don't provide the rating, we'll get the default rating. So we have this two data, and okay, and now we can simply click on send request, and here we have successfully created our first document. You can see the rating, default rating is there. We have the ID, we have the name of the NFT, we have the price, and we have this field dash dash v. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Okay, so this is created by Mongoose, and Mongoose use that data variable internally. Okay, so we're not going to do anything, but I'll show you about how you can hide that later. Okay, but focus on this create method. So it's working absolutely fine. You can see all the data is beautifully created, and I hope you guys are excited. If you come here in the compass, and if you simply reload this, here you will get the folder. If you click on this, inside that you will have this NFT folder which is created automatically, and if you click on that, and here we have the data, the ID, rating, and the name and the price. It's looking fine. So that's how it worked. If you let's create one more. So I'll say this time is gonna be, let's say, Schwab. Let's call it Schwab 92, and this time we have to add a rating. So let's add a rating to 34. Okay, not 34, we have to say 3.2. That's the rating we want to provide, and let's hit the send request. You can see we have the rating. The status code is 201, which is stand for created, and that's looking fine. If you refresh, here we have the data. So we have the rating, we have this rating. So all the functionality is working fine. Okay, now if we remove the price, we'll get an error. Let me show you. So send the request, and here we have the validation error. An NFT must have a price, you can see. So our validator is also working, and we are catching the error and displaying on this here. Okay, so again, I'm telling you, we're going to make a more robust system in the error handling. Okay, so just follow along with me. So we have the data looking fine. We have all the information about this particular error happening. So this is the price error handling, and name is validation error. Okay, so that's looking perfect, and you have the message as well. If we bring back the price and try to create one, you can see we have successfully created one more document, one more data hidden, and here we have the data. So looking perfect. So if you refresh here, we have all the data we have created here. So looking perfect. Okay, now let's come back to the close all the existing opening tab, and so this is the create. It's working absolutely fine. And now let's, for sending the error, we can send this invalid message. Okay, for the time being. So invalid data sent from NFT. Okay, so that's looking perfect absolutely. So if you hit, you can see we get this message. So let's close this one, and now we can start working on this GetAllNFT. Okay, so what we have to do is simply remove this one, and let's come here, and here we have to convert into a async function. We have to take this try and catch, and we have to simply cut this and paste right up here, and here we're going to take a variable, same NFTs, and we're going to call the await, and we have the data in this NFT. We'll call this find method. Again, this find method is not new to all of you guys. You already know this method. So this find method we have, this will give us all the document, and that's the data we want to send back to the client. Okay, so remove this timestamp, we don't want to have that. And now let's uncomment this. So that's the get NFT, and we have to send the error response. So status code is going to be, let's say for error is going to be a 500 and JSON, and I want to simply send the response back to status code is going to be, let's say, fail, and the message is going to be something like server error. Okay, so that's the simple response, error response we are sending up. And now we can test this out. So let's come back to the postman, go to this get NFTs. Okay, and now we have this endpoint, hit the route, and here we get all the 9 NFT we have created. Actually it's 9, not 9 NFT, but you can call it NFT. So we have this 9 document we have created, looking perfect. And if you come here, if you make the request, you will have the all. So let's delete that quickly, because we're going to create some meaningful data. So let's clear all these data from our database, refreshes. Here we have 3 more. Let's delete this one as well. Delete this, and delete this one as well. So that's all we have here. Now let's come back to the code, and now we can go to this demo data, and from here we're going to simply copy this data. Okay, simply copy this entire data because these are the data we need. Simply copy this, and you can see right now we don't have any NFT, so we can see the 0 result, and now we can create. So simply do one thing, replace this one and paste this code. So that's looking perfect. If we bring this down, we have all this data, and you have noticed one thing. So what do you think if I try to create the data with all these fields? So it's going to create, because in our schema we don't have this duration, we don't have this max group size, we don't have this difficulties, average rating, average quantity, price. We have only price, name and rating, but we don't have these other field. So what will happen? Can you guess? Let me show you. So here what we have to do is, simple thing we can do is simply hit the request, and here you can see the output we got only rating, ID, name, price and v1, but we have passed all this data. Okay, but this data is not getting here, because whatever you will decide in your schema, whatever model you will design in your schema, all the fields, only those fields will get access to the database, not this field. Okay, you won't get the error, but this will not store in the database. If you come here, and this is the what we have defined, name, rating, price. So this is the thing, very important thing you have to keep in mind. Okay, so that's looking fine. Now let's come back to the control postman, and here, and let's change the name to the name Schwab, and here we have created one more, and we can change the price. Everything's working fine, and this one is also looking good. Have the request, we can create. Okay, if you call on get all, so this is the 3 document we have created and all the informations. Okay, result and all this information we can easily able to access. So hope you can sense this. If you reload this, and you will have all this data. That looks fine. Now let's come here, and we can able to access the data, and instead of 500 we can say 404, obviously, because if someone hit the wrong route, and if there is some error, we have to send the 404 status code, and we can say that error message. Okay, so that's looking absolutely perfect. So we are done with the CreateNFT and GetAllNFT, and now we can start working on this GetSingleNFT. Let's do one thing, simply select all this and remove. We can write from fresh. So we're going to convert it into async function, and we'll take this try and catch, and here we're going to take the same response. Simply grab this one, and that's the one we have to paste it here. So, and we'll say invalid message, not this, we have to take this response. Okay, 404, remove this with. Okay, so that's the error response, and now we have to build that. So const nft, and we have to find the individual nft on the base of the id of the document. So we'll call this nft, where we have all the data, and we're going to call this method find by id. Okay, so again, I'm not making up this, it's already there in the Mongoose documentation. You can visit that in the query section, there you will find everything. Okay, so make sure to refer the documentation for this method to know more about it. Okay, and then we're going to find the request.params. Okay, with this params we can easily able to access the id. So params.id, and once we have the id, we have to send the response back. So 200 first status, and we want to send the response back to the client which they are looking for. So success, and we want to send the nft data. So nft. So in this way we can easily able to successfully send the particular nft the client or the user is looking for. So that's the single nft data we have, and let's close all this open field, and here you can see we have this one. So if we hit this route, it will find that and will get the data. So let's come here and let's try this out. So here we have the single nft, and here we are this 2. Okay, so we're not going to use that 2 because we have to provide the real id. So here we have get all nft. From here we have to copy this id. Okay, and Schwab Bhai. Okay, that's the id we have to provide. If I paste your id, and boom, here you got that single document. So we have the id, we have the name Schwab Bhai, and all the data. So this function is also working fine. We can easily able to read the data from our database and get on the base of the ID. So that's the name we have. If you paste this one, you get this one, time bomb by. I don't know why I've written that name, but the ID is working fine. But what if I try to give the ID wrong ID? So we'll get this validation error, and this is automatically taken care by the Mongoose. Okay, so this is the validation error we have here. So that's looking fine. Now we have to work on the update NFT. The same logic we have to follow here as well. So what we can do is simply remove this entire code, and we're going to convert it into an async function, try and catch, and we have to simply get this error response and send it back here. And now again we have to do the same thing, const, and we have to say NFT. We have to convert this to find by. This time, last time it was find by ID, this time find by ID and update. Very generic name. Okay, this will update the document, and we'll use request.params. We have to get the ID, and we have the data in this request.body. And here we have to do a couple of settings because we want to update the document. Okay, because here we're going to take an object, and here we have to say that new true. And the reason why I have said new true, because we have used the patch method. Okay, so whenever anybody will update any field in the document, we'll treat it as a new. So we'll remove the previous data and we'll save the new one. So that's why we have given the new. And we have to also run the validator. Okay, the validator we have defined in our data model. We have to rerun the validator. So for that we have to say, let's say run validator to true. Okay, so still we want to validate the data when someone update the data. Okay, so we have to validate it. So this is the validator, simple. Hope things are clear, not that complicated. And now we have to send the response. So it's going to be a 200. We have to send the response in the JSON status, and we have to send the actual data, the NFT they have updated. Okay, so we'll say let's say, so this is what we have, NFT, and that's the data we want to send back to the client. So that's looking fine. In this way we can easily able to update the data into our document. Okay, so let's come here and we'll go to this get, simply click on this, and here from here we have to get this ID. So this is the monkey monster. Okay, grab this one, and I want to update that. So let's come back to the update, and here we have to go to the body, and here I have to provide the ID. Okay, so I want to change the name, so I'll say, let's say Rahul, and hit the send request. And here you can see we got this failed message. Why so? Why we are getting this failed message? So if we come here, okay, this is the function, update function we have. Okay, we have, sorry, my bad, it will give us a promise, so we have to resolve the promise. So we have to use this await. I forgot to add this one, and now it will work. Okay, so make sure you do these changes. And now if we try to simply hit the request and simply get the ID of this, come back to the post, and here I'm going to replace the ID and hit request. So this time I'm going to change the name to single time. Okay, I don't know, and boom, here you can see the time, the name is changed, single time. So this is how we can update the data. Okay, and if you refresh, you can see this data is updated. So with this we are done with the update method. Hope you guys have learned something new. Now with that said, now let's move to the next one, which is a delete method. Okay, so we have to convert it into a async function, try and catch. We have to grab this error response and we have to paste here, and here we're going to say const. Actually we don't need to save it as a variable because we're not going to return anything to the client. Okay, it's going to be a blank. So we're going to say await, and we'll say NFT dot, in this time we have to call the method. Can you guess what the method name is going to be? So this is the name, very generic name. So find by ID and delete, not update. Okay, it does what it is. Okay, so we have to get the request.params, we have to get the ID, and we have to simply delete that. So that's the function for that. Simply copy the error response, and that's what we're going to call right up here. Simply paste here. So that's the error, and in this way we are ready to go with it. Okay, it's working fine. So now if we come here and go to this delete, simply copy this send a request. Here we get all the data. Now we can do it. Let's get this ID and we try to delete one. So here we are on the delete. We have to replace this one, provide the ID and hit that delete request. If you hit the delete request, here you can see we got 204, no content, and the document is deleted. So it's working fine. If you come back here, so right now we have this 3 document. If you hit request, now we have this 2 document. So we have deleted successfully. So looking fine. If you copy this one and let's delete this one as well and hit the request, we have deleted that. If you come here, if you hit request, right now we have 1 document. So it's looking absolutely perfect. If you refresh, we have 1 document which is a single time. So I hope things are making clear. If you have still any confusion, do leave in the comment section, because these are the important things which you have to know. So that's looking fine. Now we can come back to the code and this is also looking great. So with this we are done with this entire methods for create, get all, get single, update and delete. So that's looking cool. All the methods is looking fine. So that's the only thing I wanted to cover in this video. Finally, we are reading the data from our database, updating in our database, creating, writing. We are doing a hell lot of things and this is really cool. Okay, so hope you guys have found this as valuable as I am appreciating this. So with that said, now let's move to the next video and we'll do a couple of cool things.